Pick n Pay has announced a shake-up. The founding Ackerman family will relinquish voting control. To give effect to this, the retailer's mainstay chair, Gareth Ackerman, will step down in 2025. That's after 14 years in the role. All in all, Ackermans have been on the company's board for 4 decades. The family's investment vehicle, Ackerman Investment Holdings, will also immediately cease from nominating the group's C-suite positions of chair, CEO and CFO. Ackerman says the move will allow the group's management team to get on with transforming the business. The news of Pick n Pay's shake-up comes as the firm has released annual results. The grocer has slipped into the red. Its reported loss after tax of 3.1 billion rand. That compares with a profit of 1.1 billion rand a year ago. The slide is due to a substantial trading loss at the group's Pick n Pay business, which offset a strong performance from the company's Boxer unit. No dividend has been declared. Tiger Brands has reported an 11% increase in headline earnings from total operations at the halfway stage. That's despite the tough trading environment characterized by negative volume growth across retail and wholesale channels. Looking ahead, the owner of Koo Canned Goods expects the operating landscape to remain challenging, but says that the next reporting cycle will mark the first 6-month period under new leadership, and that will show the first green shoots of the firm's turnaround efforts. An interim dividend of 350 cents per share has been declared, up 9%. Datatec is back in the black. The international ICT company has delivered headline earnings per share of 14 US cents. That's from a loss of 9.3 US cents previously. The prior year's results were affected by the share-based payments charge on settlement of the Westcon International Equity Appreciation Plan. CEO Jens Montanana says this year's performance was also underpinned by good demand for the company's technology services and solutions, and has described the results as solid. Barloworld has reported an 8% decline in interim earnings. That's as the industrial group's local businesses faced challenging conditions, chief amongst those being a constrained macroeconomic environment where households and businesses are feeling the effects of inflationary cost pressures and high borrowing costs. But Barloworld has nevertheless decided to reward shareholders. A dividend of 210 cents per share has been declared. This is 5% up on last year's payout. On the international front, against a backdrop of K-pop performances and dance music, more than 2,000 unionized workers from Samsung Electronics gathered in Seoul last week, holding a rare rally to demand the South Korean technology giant fair pay wages. Let's take a look at this package report for more.
K-pop performances and dance music soundtracked a major demonstration in South Korea. More than 2,000 unionised workers from Samsung gathered in Seoul for a rare rally to demand fair wages. National Samsung Electronic Union President Son Woo-mok.
The company said it wouldn't give out any incentives, even though its operating profit has reached 11 trillion won. Employees do not understand this at all, so we continue to call for fair and transparent management.
Union officials said membership has jumped fourfold over the last 2 years to 28,000. Samsung has decided to lift wages this year by 5.1%, and the union does not necessarily oppose such a hike. But it also wants one more day in annual leave, as well as transparent performance-based bonuses. Choi Young-wook is a Samsung chip engineer.
This is our second union rally ever. We did something similar for the first one. Our rallies are non-violent, and we believe that even with just words, we can still show our strength.
Negotiations between the company and the union resumed on May 21st, according to the union, though some officials question the company's commitment to consulting with them. In a statement, Samsung said working level negotiations had resumed. They added the main negotiations were scheduled to take place on May 28th.
French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Germany yesterday for a 3-day state visit, which will include a bilateral cabinet meeting. The two leading EU nations aim to demonstrate their unity before the EU parliamentary elections next month. Here's our reporter Anati Ndevu with more.
Well, that is right, Zinati. French President Emmanuel Macron is in Berlin, the first by a French president in 2 decades. This, of course, comes as a significant sight as it is before the European Parliament elections that are taking place early next month. And for more on this visit, we're joined by Deutsche Welle's Wada Imran, who is currently standing by in Berlin. Wada, thank you so much for joining us. What is the significance of this trip?
This trip is definitely significant as it aims to show how the French and German relations are doing well despite rumors or disagreements in the last few months. Germany and France are often viewed as the economic powerhouses of the EU. So this visual of them standing together with smiles, it's a nice thing to project for voters. French President Macron was greeted by his German counterpart, President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, at the Bellevue Palace here in Berlin. This trip is more important than any other trips that Macron often takes to Germany, and that's because a state visit involves a full military view, a full welcome with the French anthem, and visits to important cities. The two countries basically want to say, we're united and we're doing good for now.
But France and Germany disagree on many core issues. So does this trip change any of that?
Yes, definitely. Some of the fundamental disagreements are much bigger and are on a more global scale, as well as on some EU topics. On the Ukraine war front, for example, France has maintained and continues to do so that sending troops to Ukraine is still on the table, while Germany vehemently opposes boots on the ground. This topic has shown the opposing cultures around security and defense in both countries. Germany is the second largest supporter of Ukraine, right behind the US. Another topic that the two cannot seem to agree on is the topic of China. France has openly said that Germany remains too reliant on China for raw materials and trade deals. There's also a lot of talk about whether the EU should follow the US route of imposing excessive tariffs on Chinese imports. This is something that Germany aggressively opposes. The famed auto industry in Germany is tight with the market and business in China, so a tariff system would not be in Germany's favor.
Well, both of these countries have long been seen as economic powerhouses. So how is that changing?
Well, the last few years have been hard for any economy, but France and Germany, being particularly important for the EU, are always in the spotlight. Last year was hard for the Eurozone as a whole, with growth under 1%. For Germany, though, 2023 was not pleasant at all, with the GDP shrinking by 0.3%, which is not a good look. The International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, also revised its growth outlook for the Eurozone, but particularly for Germany, which is expected to have the weakest growth among the G7 countries. The economy here is only expected to stabilize next year, and this puts Germany in a tight spot this year.
Well, let's leave it there for now, Wada. Thank you so much for your time. That was Deutsche Welle's Wada Imran.